William Shakespeare, one of the greatest authors of all time.
Shakespeare's phrases, the ways he used words, are so common that people often get mixed up and can't remember if they came from the Bible or from Shakespeare.
Shakespeare worked the English language, milked it for all it was worth, made up words if it didn't give him the right words. He is one of the first professional writers.
The life of William Shakespeare. He lived over 400 years ago, yet his words are still on our lips. His plays shaped theater, his poetry reshaped language, and his characters still breathe life into every stage across the globe. This is the story of William Shakespeare, the Bard of Avon, the man who turned words into immortality. William Shakespeare was born in April 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. His exact birth date remains a mystery, but tradition marks it as April 23rd.
His actual birth date is uncertain, but most scholars believe he was born on or near April 23rd, 1564.
His father, John Shakespeare, was a glove maker and alderman.
The father was a businessman. He was a glove maker. He was a wool merchant. He also was a bit of a money lender. Seems to have done quite well for himself for a while.
Mary Arden came from a prosperous farming family.
Well, Shakespeare's mother, Mary Arden, was from a very old family in Warwickshire, one of the most ancient, in fact, in the country.
Young William likely attended the local King's New School, where he studied Latin, grammar, rhetoric, and classical authors like Ovid and Seneca. This foundation would later influence his plays deeply.
We think he may have been educated in the King's School at Stratford because that would have been typical for a child with a father who was an alderman.
But Shakespeare's youth was not destined for endless study. At just 18, he married Anne Hathaway, 8 years his senior. Together they had 3 children, Susanna and twins Hamlet and Judith. Asterisk.
We have a marriage record for Shakespeare to Anne Hathaway in 1585. We also have baptism records for a daughter and a set of twins. And we also know that his son, Hamlet, one of the twins, died.
Between 1585 and 1592, there are no clear records of Shakespeare's life. Historians call this period the lost years. Some believe he worked as a teacher or law clerk. Others think he traveled with acting troupes or even fled Stratford after poaching deer on a nobleman's land. Whatever happened, when he re-emerged in London, Shakespeare was already a rising figure in the world of theater.
Shakespeare moved to London in the late 1580s. By the early 1590s, we know he's writing, and we know that he's acting.
Asterisk, by 1592, Shakespeare was working as an actor and playwright. But not everyone welcomed him. One critic dismissed him as an upstart crow, stealing from more educated writers. Yet fate favored him. When theaters shut down during the plague in 1593, Shakespeare turned to poetry. His works Venus and Adonis and The Rape of Lucrece gained him the patronage of the young Earl of Southampton. When theaters reopened, his plays quickly became popular. He joined a troupe called the Lord Chamberlain's Men, which later became the King's Men under King James I. With them, Shakespeare found stability, fame, and the chance to write for both the common audience and the royal court. Asterisk. In 1599, Shakespeare and his partners built the Globe Theatre.
In 1599, he built the largest open-air amphitheater in London, the Globe Theatre.
A circular wooden playhouse on the south bank of the Thames. Here, many of his greatest works premiered. Imagine the atmosphere. Vendors selling oranges, audiences standing shoulder to shoulder in the pit, and the wealthiest nobles seated in balconies. The Globe became the beating heart of Shakespeare's career.
Shakespeare's company, the Lord Chamberlain's Men, changed its name to the King's Men when King James became its patron in 1603. This was a mark of exceptional prestige.
It was here that plays like Hamlet, Othello, and King Lear first came alive, echoing through the wooden O. Asterisk. Shakespeare wrote 39 plays, each exploring the human spirit. His comedies, like Twelfth Night and A Midsummer Night's Dream, played with love, identity, and laughter. His tragedies, Macbeth, Othello, Hamlet, and Romeo and Juliet, dived into ambition, jealousy, madness, and fate. And his histories, like Henry V and Richard III, captured the drama of England's kings and battles.
By 1597, Shakespeare had authored 15 of the 37 plays attributed to him, including Romeo and Juliet, Comedy of Errors, and The Merry Wives of Windsor.
What made Shakespeare remarkable was not just his plots, but his language. He gave us words we use every day: bedroom, lonely, majestic, fashionable. He coined phrases like break the ice, wild goose chase, and all that glitters is not gold. But more than words, his characters felt real. Hamlet, torn by indecision. Lady Macbeth, consumed by ambition. Romeo and Juliet, blinded by young love. Falstaff, a fool yet full of wisdom. He captured every shade of human emotion, so much so that his plays remain timeless. Asterisk.
Shakespeare talked about the human condition. He explains to us how we think, how we feel, the human psyche. He eloquently explains it.
Shakespeare's fame was not without mystery. Did he really write all the plays attributed to him? Some skeptics argue they were penned by noblemen or scholars. Others point to missing years in his life. Yet most scholars agree. The glovemaker's son from Stratford possessed a genius that needed no disguise. Another curiosity, his only son, Hamlet, died at age 11. Many believe this loss shaped the grief and darkness in plays like Hamlet. Asterisk. In his later years, Shakespeare retired to Stratford, becoming a wealthy landowner. He lived quietly, though he still wrote collaborations with younger playwrights. On April 23, 1616, perhaps on his 52nd birthday, he passed away. He was buried at Holy Trinity Church in Stratford, under a stone that reads, "Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he that moves my bones." Asterisk.
Shakespeare was not only a playwright, he also was a poet, partly because of economic necessity. During the early 1590s, plague closed the theaters in London, and there was quite a vogue for producing sonnets.
Asterisk. More than 4 centuries later, Shakespeare's words live on. His plays are translated into every major language, performed in theaters, adapted into films, echoed in music and politics. From London to Tokyo, New York to Karachi, the bard's voice is everywhere. He gave us not just plays, but a mirror to see ourselves. Love, ambition, betrayal, joy, tragedy, all distilled into words that never fade. William Shakespeare, not just the greatest playwright of his age, but the storyteller of all ages. Asterisk.